All right. Good evening, everybody. We are here, FYI After Dark Live. I'm your host, Yolanda Hinton, here with co-host Edward Everett, aka Mr. E. How you doing, Mr. E?
And a good afternoon to you, Miss Hinton. It's a beautiful, was rainy day and lightning and thunderstorms, and it was that one of those days. But I'm doing wonderful for a good after FYI after dark uh, evening.
I tell you what, it is a wonderful day. It's the 3rd of July. We're getting ready for a wonderful Independence Day. I hope you all are going to remain safe and just have a good time on this holiday. And Mr. E, are you off tomorrow?
I am off tomorrow. I am OFF off tomorrow. Thank God.
That's great. I want to welcome our viewers. We are on Facebook Live. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we want to say good evening to everyone. Now, make sure you all like, share, and comment. We want to hear from you. We want to know who's on. And we want to just make sure that you are in the loop. We're going to actually invite our special guest on with us in a few minutes. Right now, I want to just say thank you to our sponsors. Crystal Records is one of them. Make sure you go visit the site www.crystalrecords.com. That is Cristo Records. And make sure you go to Beard Gods. We got another sponsor, beardgods.com, BEARD, Gods with a Z, GODZ, beardgods.com. And you can also visit Bulvic Academy. And I'll be telling you all more about Bulvic Academy in a little bit. But make sure you visit www.bulvic, that's BULVIC, bulvicacademy.com. And check us out. We got some great things coming on. As a matter of fact, I'm introducing a brand new app. It is called Bulvic Academy. It is an anti-bullying game for the family, for our children, for schools. It took me almost a year to develop my team, to develop this app, a wonderful game, and we look forward to telling you all more about it. It is actually, it is on already, apple.com. You can go to the Apple Store, you can buy the app. You can also go to Google and go to Google Play, the store there, and get the app. Also, in a little while, probably in a couple of days, you will have access to the link on www.bulvicacademy.com. You can actually buy the game right there from the website. There's more to come, a lot that's on the website, a lot of anti-bullying information for kids, books, comic books, and just a lot of wonderful things. And we look forward to acting with you and looking for your support. So thank you to our sponsors. You all, please go and visit us. Now, back to FYI Radio Show. Mr. E, before we introduce our very special guest, tell us where we can hear FYI Radio Morning Show.
If you like to hear FYI Radio Morning Show, you can go to FYI Radio. If you want to hear, you can go to Facebook Live. That's with Yolanda Hinton Facebook page, Edward Everett's Facebook page. You can hear us on WPCE 1400, WGPL 1350, Peace 95.3, and WMVA 88.9 FM. And all social media platforms, that's WPCE 1400, Peace 95.3 FM, 88.9 WMVA, and WGPL 1350. And then you can also hear us on the World Wide Web by going to www.christianbroadcastingcompany.com or 1400 AM or 1350 AM, and you can hear us all over the world.
Absolutely. I tell you what, we're going to introduce our special guest. We love when he comes on. You know, he's been on FYI Radio Morning Show, and tonight we got him, Mr. E.
That's right.
Dr. Hezekiah Brown. He's the author of Conflict Resolution and A Case for Reparations. You know, he was on the morning show, Mr. E, talking about reparations, teaching us all about what it is and why we're going to get it. Why we're going to get that money.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, without further ado, how are you doing, Dr. Brown?
I am doing wonderful. I hope you guys are doing the same.
You are really good. Dr. Brown, tell our audience about you, a little bit about your background, and then we're going to talk about your books.
Okay. Well, my name is Hezekiah Brown, and I'm what I call a peacemaker. I've been involved in making peace between labor and management, communities, universities, schools, every place, and been successful in resolving disputes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think he is frozen
That's
again.
Right. Yes, right. He'll come back.
He's going to come back.
That's right.
And we'll just wait for him to come back. But he is the author of Conflict Resolution, and that's our topic for this evening. Due to technical difficulties, you know, storming here in this area, along with where Dr. Brown is. I believe, is he in Delaware area, and the storming and things are happening to the internet. So you all bear with us on this evening. We look to have a wonderful, wonderful show, and we're going to be talking with him as soon as he pops on. So, Mr. E, yes.
You know, Miss Hinton, just in case when he come back on and pop back on, just in case our listening audience don't understand what conflict is, the definition of conflict is a serious disagreement or an argument.
Ooh, a
very serious disagreement or an argument. It clashed like clashing parents and children interested in a conflict, a quarrel, a dispute, or a squabble. These are some of the things that happens between which is a conflict. A conflict, the ethical conflict between the sexes, male and female, men and women, that brings on a great conflict that they cannot resolve, and it's almost built as an argument, blacks and whites, you know, and if you go to the store sometimes at Popeyes, or if you go to Burger King and somebody don't get their order right, there are people who will go all the way to the left, and that is a conflict that cannot be rectified, cannot be put together. It's just
well, we'll find out if we can when the doctor comes on, because he says conflict resolution.
He's got a solution
on some of these issues. We're gonna find out how successful he's been. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, actually, to Miss Monel Lewis. She says, good afternoon, happy fall, my two favorite friends. And yes, we will be celebrating Independence Day, and I have the pleasure of being out here, right here with the fireworks on tomorrow, Mr. E, and enjoying my wonderful staycation, and just looking forward to something that I've enjoyed throughout the years.
That's right, and congratulations, because there is that is well needed. I've seen how you labored in such individual. I see how you work so hard, and yes, it's R&R, rest and relaxation,
and and planning and praying and meditating and looking at the water, the ocean, and just having a great time. So anyway, we're hoping that our special guest, Dr. Hezekiah Brown, can pop back up. In the meantime, Mr. E already told you what conflict is acting like you just don't know what to do with yourselves because I want to be right. No, I want to be right. No, you want to be right. No, we all want to be right. And there are times when we all can't be right. There are times when we have to resolve our issues. And we have Dr. Hezekiah Brown, who's going to tell us how we can do it. Dr. Hezekiah Brown, so sorry you got interrupted. We let our audience know that we are having technical difficulties. But go ahead, let us know a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to talk about conflict resolution.
Yes, well, one of the things that I've been involved in this process for over 50 years. It's been a long ride, but it's something that I enjoy doing. So that's why sometimes I do my work for free, because I get such pleasure out of seeing people who dislike each other, can't stand each other, wanting to really physically fight, and being able to bring them together. That is what I get my joy out of. It is one. It's just something. It's something that God gave me. As you might know, that God gives some people, they can play music, they can dance, they can play football, basketball, and that's a talent that God gave them that no one can take away. Well, God gave me the talent to be a peacemaker, and I help parties resolve disputes. In fact, I've been involved in over 5,000 disputes in my lifetime.
Wow.
And I would say those are 5,000 that resolved the dispute. That doesn't account the ones that didn't, but it's very few of those that didn't resolve the dispute. Yes.
That is amazing. I look at social media and people are fighting. They're, spazzing out. You have these people that they identify as Karens who they go and they just can't take no for an answer. They can't, they have to have everything their way. And so people seem like they're more stressed out. They're more violent when it comes to conflict. What has happened, Dr. Brown? One time you could hit a stick off of somebody's shoulder. That's as far as it would go. Now people are pulling out guns, knives. They're doing all kind of violent things. What has happened to our society?
Well, I think a number of things have happened, because what happened is solve problems. One must then define the problem. And what we're continuously doing in our country and other countries, we are defining the wrong problem, so we get the wrong answer as to how it can be resolved. So that's the main thing. For example, all of the crime and the shooting that's going on in the country today, there are people like myself and you, we know where it's coming from. We know how it's done, and we know it can be stopped and it can be controlled. All right. But it's still, instead of doing that, it is so much money involved in what is taking place until people, they don't mind seeing our young Black kids die on the street. Now, but the real reason for it is that we have not, in this country, as great as we are great in so many things, but we have failed to teach individuals how to resolve disputes. We don't teach it in church. We don't teach it at home. We don't teach it in schools. We don't teach it in college. We don't teach it any place. I mean, it's the biggest secret in town, just simply finding ways and means to resolve disputes. And that's what we have to focus on now, because I really believe that one of the things that if we could ever get this conflict resolution as part of the school curriculum, yes. So young people would start at an early age, K through 12, every year, learning a little bit about how to resolve conflict. By the time they get to be a senior in school, they will be a different person. Because people don't realize when you go out of school and go out into the real world of work, that's where you really got to start then to try to find ways and means to resolve disputes. All right.
Yes.
But I think that most of our problem right now with the shooting and killing that's going on, and I'm going to say this because I don't know if I said it before, but I'm going to say it now. If we could stop drugs from coming into our community, it would solve 90% of the shooting that's taking place in our community. Let me.
Yes. Wow.
Absolutely. We just say drugs, that's a factor, Mr. E.
He said, if we could stop drugs, that's 90% of our street killing, killing in our street. And I kind of listen to what he's saying, because it can be the drugs on the street, but I believe if we can get rid of some of this pandemic syndrome, When they were locked in, they just come out buck wild, and if they could really come and face each other and dialogue, I believe that it'll work out for itself. We waiting for Mr.
Absolutely.
Head Brown come back. He's gonna pop off, and then he's gonna pop back on, and we want to wait until he come back because he's got some great information that he wants to share with us.
Absolutely. He has a book, Conflict Resolution. And, he just mentioned, Mr. E, the fact that he wants to see conflict resolution as a curriculum in
Yes,
the schools.
yes,
How marvelous would that be? They're trying to do sex education and all that kind of stuff, enhance those things like that. But I really believe that things that help children to become more well-rounded, and help them to manage their emotion is something that is key in the schools. I think that the schools should think twice before turning aside something like conflict resolution. It's something that is definitely needed because people, like I said, people are trying to resolve it through violence.
that's right, that's right, that's right. People are really trying to resolve it through violence. They're trying to revive, and not only they took it to another step further in violence. One time or another, if there was a conflict, you would duke it out. You would use your hands and
Mhm.
your fists. Now they done gone to the point now that they're using guns,
Yes.
and they done gone as far as not real as shooting the person they had a conflict with, but shooting every one of their family members too. It
And
goes,
going in schools.
that's right. And innocent people are being shot for what? Because
Mhm.
they could not resolve the problem. There's innocent bystanders, innocent folks who don't even know what the deal is all about, what's going on. They're being attacked because these folks have got so mad. These folks have got so angry that what they're doing, they're deciding to take everybody out.
Yes. So Dr. Brown is back
Yes,
with us. And
yes.
like I said, I wanted to remind our audience again, because of the storm and conditions, we've experienced some, technical difficulties, and Dr. Brown is too. So you all have patience with us. This is a great topic. Dr. Brown, we were just talking about the fact that, this conflict resolution should be a curriculum in the schools. Tell us a little bit about your seminars and about wanting to have the curriculum for our schools and educational institutes. And then we have someone, Miss Mardell Lewis, want to know, do you work with families?
Yes, I work with families. There's something called family mediation, where we bring families together, those who are at odds with each other, and we use the same process. One thing about the mediation process is the same process no matter where you are. It is getting people to talking to each other, getting people to listen to each other, getting people to resolve disputes. What I'm saying, for example, is that the process that I use in labor management, the process I use in community dispute, it's the same thing. Because one of the things that happen would prevent folks from resolving disputes has to do with folks not listening.
Oh, yes.
Listening is one of the most important things that you can do in resolving conflict. And so the first course we give really is a course in listening, because the average person, if you ask them what are their listening skills from 1 to 10, they will tell you it's a 10. When in actuality it's a 1. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Because people don't listen to what the other person is saying, or they take it personally, or when they don't listen, they start to mental auger in terms of how to respond instead of listening to what the person is saying. So
That's
I heard you guys say something about anger before.
Mhm. Yes.
Anger is one of the strongest feeling that one can have. In fact, anger is a stronger feeling than love. Anger
Wow.
affects every organ in the body. Anger causes strokes.
mm,
Anger raises your high blood pressure. Anger raises your blood sugar level. All these things here, you've heard a lot of times when people have been at disagreement with someone, had a heart attack or stroke and died because of that, you know? So we have to learn, first of all, how to deal with our anger. So in terms of resolving disputes, one of the things that we often say to folks is that prior to engaging in a dispute, check your ego at the door, come in and just be subtle and say, look, we're gonna resolve this dispute. If you come in with a question mark in your mind, it's a different story. The attitude has to be, we have a problem and we're going to resolve it. And I'm not going to leave until we resolve it. So prior to engaging in conflict, you have to think about how can it be resolved? How can it be resolved? See, mediators and people such as we get the ideas and the thoughts from people talking to each other or talking in what is called a separate caucus to each other. They're the ones that give me the information on terms of how to resolve the disputes. So when we start a discussion about this, what has to be going to the person's mind is what's the solution, not what's the problem. We know what the problem is when we walk in. So what is the solution to the problem? And we have to think about how it can be resolved. And obviously, a lot of folks, it's hard for them to get off of their high horse. It's hard for them to get past the ego to saying we're going to resolve this dispute. So what you do, if you're going to be a problem solver, there are multiple solutions to a problem. Some people believe there's only one. So can you imagine, Yolanda, if you and I are in a dispute and I'm thinking about, I'm going to go to this meeting with him and we're going to find a way to resolve this disputes. What are some of the ways that I believe it should be resolved? And you have 5 things. And if you have someone else come in with the same thing, how could you not resolve a dispute? Yeah. But people come in with agendas. They come in not looking to resolve disputes. They come in not looking to listen. They come in with the family tradition. All right. Well, this is what my mother did. This is what my father did. That's why their mother and father divorced. But the other thing is, yes, we have to be able, it's a mindset that has to be there if you're going to resolve disputes.
Mr. E, one of the things that I want to ask Dr. Brown is, do people come in there with their mind to say, I really don't want to solve this problem. I want to keep this conflict going on forever. They come in bitter and they just feel as though, it's like, what's the use? Or I can't have my way. Or if I submit to anybody, people are going to think that I'm a wimp.
Yeah.
Or they think that I'm, somebody that just will take anything. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Brown, the mindset of people that come in that don't want things resolved.
Right. Because he said something, Ms. Hinton, that was so powerful. He said that when you're going into a meeting, first of all, leave your attitude, leave your attitude at the door. Come into a meeting with a question mark, where you come in to ask questions instead of bringing on anger, bringing on the frustration, bringing on the Charlie Brown attitude. Why is everybody always picking on me? All they got to do is come on in with the right frame of mind. See, I believe, and Dr. Brown is a great, great fellow. He's a great man dealing with the conflict resolution. I've heard him talk before. I believe that if people would come in that solution, in that way, not trying to think that they're bigger than anybody, that they're lower than anybody, or that somebody is really trying to belittle them. And like he said, to leave your family mess behind you. He also said that when anger and frustration and things of that nature hit you, it causes you to have high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, you name it, your sugar level goes up. So because you're allowing that
Yes.
anger, that frustration to get a hold of you. Dr. Brown got some great information, Miss Hinton. And yes, due to technical difficulty, he'll be back. You know, there been storming all over. We had storms here, and I came out of Maryland today. I ran before the storm caught a hold of us. So I know that the weather is bad. So y'all bear with us on today. Miss Hinton, what do you think about conflict? What do you think about the anger? Folks are not really to submit themselves.
First of all, Dr. Brown is back with us. And so we're going to let him finish his thought, and then we'll go to another question. So, Dr. Brown, is there anything else you wanted to add to what you were saying before we experience technical difficulties?
Yeah, I just want to say this is that the way we solve problems is finding someone to blame, you know, and it's not often that we accept responsibilities for anything that we do. It is always somebody else's fault. So you have to leave that at the door when you come in. You have to do some serious self-examination of yourself. Could I have been a little bit wrong? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I use the wrong language? Did I do something wrong? Did I do something unknowingly to offend someone? And generally speaking, when that happened, people don't know how to get back together. They will walk by each other for 20 years and not speak on the same thing. So we have to look at ourselves first to see if we contribute to whatever the dispute is. But here's the key part. Once you make that determination, what you have to do then is be able to exchange position with the other side. Be able to try to see their point of view instead of only your point of view.
That's deep right there. So, say that one more time, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, you have to exchange position with the other side. Given the same circumstances, the same condition, what would I have done when you exchange position? And if you can just tip the iceberg to be able to exchange position with the other side, that is really the greatest step that you can make, because it means then that you're going to resolve the dispute. Get out of the I and accusatory mode. Say, I did this, I did that, or you did this, you did that. That's not going to resolve a dispute. You got to have the mindset to say, I want to resolve disputes. And I think, you know, I even tell people a lot of times that you have to do is develop good listening skills. Good listening skills is so important. And I often say this, you heard me say this before, that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth.
That's right.
And there's a signal in that. It means we're supposed to do what? We're supposed to listen more than we talk.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
The other thing, we have to do in doing this is being able to stay calm.
Yeah.
Wow.
No shouting, no table banging, nothing. All right? Being able to listen and then analyze at the same time instead of mentally arguing, thinking about how I should respond. And the other thing is to not be accused, as I said again, finger pointing at the other person. Be careful when you use this finger here. Never, ever use that finger at somebody. That is one of the most embarrassing things you can do. If you're going to say something, you can do this. You can talk that way. But the finger here is very intimidating, and it's very uncomfortable when you do that to people. So you have to use this in terms of doing that.
Dr. Brown, before you go a little further, here's a question for you. Does gestures and play a big important role when you dealing with folk?
Yes, sir. Body language.
Yes.
Body language is important because if you're talking to someone and the only thing you can see it is white of their eyes, it's a message in that.
Yes.
You see people talk with their arm folded and looking down. It's a message in that. You know what I mean? So I'm saying these are just small things that you send a message to people that you might not be trying to send to folks because you don't know what else to do, what else to say.
Yeah.
So when people are talking, look at them in their face, look at them in their eyes. All right. And that's intimidating to folks sometimes because people, either if you sit back in the chair with your head up, looking in the air, you're not going to resolve anything. You
That's
have
right.
to have a serious look on your face, and you have to do exactly these small things to show respect of the person that you're talking to, you know, and only deal with the facts of the case.
Wow.
Deal only with the facts. Be willing to forgive.
Mm.
There are so many people that go to church on Sunday and they go to the altar to pray, and they pray to God to forgive them, but they won't forgive the person who kneeling next to them.
Wow.
So you have to learn to forgive. You see, when you forgive people, you don't forgive them for their sake, you give them for your sake.
Mm.
Because if not, every time you see that same person, you're the person get angry. You're the person with your blood pressure go up. These things. You forgive people in your heart. Okay.
Yeah.
And then go on about your business.
Yeah.
And that blows their mind because they think that you're supposed to be angry and they're upsetting you.
Yes.
The other thing is this: have compassion.
Wow.
You see, even some of the shooting that's going on now in our community, these folks, they know each other.
Yeah.
They went to school together. They visit each other. They've been around each other for such a long time. And then they don't understand that when I kill one of my brothers, I affect the entire family, the mother, father, sister, brother, grandmother. All these things are compassion. And I believe if people really understand, because when they start killing people, they don't think about the other people who they claim they love.
Yeah.
Who gave them some food when they didn't have any. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Who took them in.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. Did you hear that? He said they usually know one another.
That's right. That's right. That's right. He's on target because now folks has to get to the point to learn the real reason why there's so many conflicts. When there's a lot of conflicts that's circling around, because he said some vital information. I don't know if for folks that caught this that Dr. Brown is saying. He said, "Be willing to listen."
Yes.
Be willing to listen. He said that there are some things that folks don't understand, that in conflict, that the two things that God has given to us was an ear and a mouth. And the ear is to listen, to listen to what somebody else is saying. And he said that, normally when things are going sour, we don't want to listen to this I, and I.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. People don't want to listen. They don't want to hear another perspective. They don't want to cow down. They want to be right. I want to be right. I'm right. I'm right about everything, And so it's that type of thing. It's the mindset that you bring in. It's a willingness to want to resolve. Some people don't want to resolve it. That's where we get irreconcilable differences. It's like, I will never agree with you. And a lot of people, Mr. E, divorce on those terms. I will never agree with you. We can't agree. It's not in us to be able to solve. Somebody's not listening. Somebody don't want to give in. Somebody don't want to forgive. Somebody just don't want to be humble, and they just don't want to be wrong. And so, this thing called conflict is something else, because it is has a lot to do with not having skills, like Dr. Brown said, but also it has to do with not being able to manage your emotion. A lot of times people don't know how to bring themselves in. Honey, once they go, you hear people that say, once I go on 1, 2, 3, I'm going up to 10. Well, what you need to go on 10 for? Why don't you just stay on 2 and try to get the issue resolved? But no, anger is the key. I saw a little boy today downstairs, and he had a little thing in his hand, cup of something. And his mom said, okay, don't do that. Don't go over there. And he just had a fit. I mean, he just, I don't know if it was his sister or auntie or what, and just started hitting. He just got out of control. And then started running. She had to pick him up from the dividing doors and pull him back in, because he was getting ready to really spaz out. And he was not, it was nothing that she said to him like, listen, we don't do that. Don't do that. you can talk whatever you need, talk about it. And that's what I would tell my grandson and other kids. Children come up crying to get attention, and some of them have temper tantrums and stuff. But we've got to teach them how to listen and how to speak, because when you don't get people in control of their emotions and stuff, they figure that's the way of doing it. Well,
That's
hey, I know a group that just say, a group of people that say, look, we always our disputes, we're gonna fight.
That's right.
We gonna fight. That's what we do. We fight. And so,
And
people are just gonna have to learn how to do things another way.
that's right. And that's how people resolve issues. Like you said, they come on battling with each other. They come on not forgiving each other. They just come on just really pouring on the thickness, go from 0 to 100, and not even willing to bow down. Dr. Brown.
Yes, sir. As I said again, every time I get going here, something happens. So this is what happened all over with conflict resolution. People don't want to hear it. They don't listen to it. They want to keep fighting all the time. Mm-hmm. So here, the other thing that I would want people to do is that this is what I sincerely believe, because one of the things that before I die, I'm going to be able to get those gangs that's killing each other into rooms and said, listen, there's a better way. You don't have to kill someone if they don't pay your money for your drugs.
Why, Dr. Brown? Why, Dr. Brown? Why is people are so violent? Is it because of the pandemic? Why are people so violent now?
Well, I'm just saying, when we talk about it, you're talking about there's a separation of the two things of the young people that's killing each other, and it's all about drug money. This is from the old a page taken from the Mafia book, okay? Yes. And that if you get my drugs and you don't pay me my money, the penalty is death.
Yes.
It is not, let's talk about it, but the penalty is death. All right? And then these are the things that nobody's talking about. You never hear this anyplace else. And we unfortunately live in a system that is an unfair system.
Yes.
I call it a criminal injustice system instead of a criminal justice system.
Yes.
Because there's so many things that are taking place that have this adverse effect. And it's somebody who stands outside of our community who is making the money. They throw the drugs into our community and our kids kill each other over that. They don't understand, all right? And there are some things that we can do, as I said again, to draw people away from that. But that's a long story that we need to spend time on. How do we disconnect people from killing each other itself? Yeah. And there are ways to do it, because they have some good reasons as to why they're doing this. They say, well, look, I'm already in the system, all right? And so it's nothing you can do. I can't get a job. I can't take care of my children. I can't do this. So this is what I'm going to do, all right? And I'm going to do this until I die. By the way, listen to this. And they say, I'm going to sell drugs. I'm going to have nice cars. I'm going to have a apartment. I'm going to have what everybody else have. And I know I'm going to die before 25. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the danger in what's taking place now. If they don't care about their lives, what do they care about somebody else's life?
Yes.
And the people and the powers to be in this country know exactly what is going on. You don't hear people, when we start talking about Black kids killing each other, they said, we working on it. We're going to come up with something. Or it's somebody else's reason to do that. They know exactly. I know exactly. And if I know, they know what it is. All right. People want you to think that they're fighting over boyfriend and girlfriend. You stole my bike or something like that. It's bigger than that.
Wow.
Yeah. Big business, big money involved in this. And somebody who's from downtown, you know what I mean? They are throwing the drugs into our community and going home and sleep good at night and don't care how many of us die.
That's right. That is so true.
Yes.
So we have to go to the real root of the problem, define the problem, and then come up with solutions as to how to do it.
Dr.
Now,
Brown, can you address before you address that? Can you address the divorce rate? I know you talk to and counsel a lot of couples. The divorce rate is up.
the divorce rate is 51% of those who get married in 2003 will end up in divorce.
Whew.
Say that again.
51% of those who get married in 2023 will end up in divorce. 51%.
Wow.
Here are some of the reasons, and when I look at all this stuff unfold about student loans, all right? Here's
Yes.
one of the problems in student loans. You know what happened? When you get a student loan, it means that someday you got to pay it back.
That's
so
right.
if I have a $150,000 student loan when I graduate from college.
That's right.
Wow.
Wow.
Wardell Lewis has a comment. She says, and the gangs get families or anyone that they're in their way in Baltimore and all over. I mean,
That's
they are, conflict. Like he said, it's no dealing. It's nothing that says we've got to do it and do it diplomatic. We're coming for you. You don't have our stuff. Ain't no talking. We're going to deal with you accordingly. And so, people are doing that. And like you asked, Mr. E, about a more of a violent nature that we had since the pandemic. If you look on social media, people are showing themselves very hostile now.
That's right.
This is the thing. If I go in and I get a burger and I ask for fry, I get a fry that one is burnt. I'm going in there and I'm going to start throwing food. I'm going to start throwing the cash register. We see over the littlest things that people are definitely spazzing out.
Miss Hinton, when you said that, people are walking time bombs. They're just ready to explode. You just touch them and they will blow up at any given time, at any given moment. As I began to listen to Dr. Brown, I began to look at my granddaughter who was a walking time bomb. And she had to go because she had no social nor emotional skills. But she went and getting help to deal with, her social and emotional skills and her attitude. As I begin to look at life, and I often sometimes look at it in an animal kingdom shape form. When you take a dog and lock a dog in a cage for such a long time.
Yes.
And once that dog get out,
yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
It's the same way and that you do with folk. If your folk children and you lock them in the house and you don't let them go out, don't let them mingle, don't let them mix with anybody, don't let them have social and emotional skills, they are buck wild. Why? Because they don't know how to adjust to any situation whatsoever. When you said something over French fry, that was a young lady that went to a Wendy's. I saw it the other day. She went to a Wendy's and they took so long to make her burger. She decided to go around the back and go in and make her own hamburger, not caring or sandwich, not caring whether or not she go to jail. Dr. Brown, jump on in there.
Yeah, I was saying before that if you have a student loan of $150,000, which is a low number for a lot of students, and you meet someone in college who walk away with the same thing, they get out of college and they decide to get married. They start off with a $300,000 or more in debt. All right. Then they say, well, wait a minute, we want to maybe buy a house. You know what? If you default on the student loan, you can't buy a house.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay. So then you end up with one kid or two children in 2 or 3 years. All right. And so when the finances get low, that's when people decide to, well, I can't do this, I can't take this, and this is why they fight, and this is how they divorce. And what I'm saying, the problem is they don't just divorce now, they go on to somebody else, right?
Yes.
And they might have another family with 2 and 3 children, and that sometimes end up in divorce because of the finances. See, because they told us that if you go to school and you get a college degree, that was the way to the middle and upper class. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we can see now why all of that is unfolding, and that's really contributing, Yolanda, to that's why what's contributing to the high divorce rate that's taking place today. It's money of it doesn't have anything to do with love. It has to do with finances.
Wow.
You know, Dr. Brown, I want to switch it and put it into the church realm. There's so many folk that are in churches today that profess to be believers and profess to be Christians. Now, here's the thing that I wonder: why is it so hard for believers to forgive and forget?
Well, I say this all the time. You know, we have to define, first of all, what is a Christian. All right. See, if you're a real Christian, church doesn't start until you leave church.
Say that again. If you're what?
If you're a real Christian,
Okay.
church doesn't start until you leave church.
That's right.
It doesn't start when you walk in the door. All right. And so that is really the reason why a lot of young folks don't, because these folks who go to church singing the choir on the board of trustees and all this, and they see them saying this is what a Christian is. And then when they leave church, they see what they do when they leave church.
Yeah.
Young people say, I don't want to be, if that's what a Christian is, I don't want to be one of them. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm getting emotional now about this. But I'm saying, and so we are not setting the examples for people, for young people to say, I want to be a part of this church service. Our black men are not stepping up to the plate when they see all these kids getting killed and shot down. What do? They go to the barbershop and they say, oh man, you see what happened? Did you read the news? They don't say what I'm going to do, because we have to be able to come together as a group of people and say we are sick and tired and we're not going to take it anymore. We have to be role models for these young men. That's what we have to do.
Did you?
It's gone. They are 150 steps ahead of us. We have to drag these men along from the barbershop, from the football game and the television and the basketball game and the games they play. We have to drag them from them and say, we need your help to help save these children. That's what we need.
Do you think their mindset says, if they kill them, they'll kill me too? I ain't get involved in none of my business. Are we in that era where folks are saying, I'm minding my own business?
Well, I think some people are, when it comes to the drug problems, I think some people are afraid because these guys will kill anybody. They don't have any. I think that some people are, but there are some things that we can do in our community, in our churches, in our community centers. Is some things we can do, because the only one, sir, that can save us is us. Yes. There are people who think that building more jails is going to solve the problem. That's not going to solve the problem.
That's right.
There are people who say passing more legislation is going to solve the problem. That's not going to solve the problem. All right. Yeah. Because what we have to do, and I think the mayor from Baltimore, Maryland, said it this morning on television. It was the first time ever anybody say what part of the solution is that we have to start to teach people how to resolve disputes. He said that on television this morning. You haven't heard one single politician say anything about teaching people how to resolve disputes. Not 1. Now, we're going to spend $1.2 trillion rebuilding the structure of this country, rebuilding highways, bridges, and roadways and byways. $1.2 trillion, and not one single dime of that going to rebuilding people.
Wow.
We have to rebuild people. You know what I mean? And that's the reason I say, even in my book on reparation, I talk about that. We have to, I'm not looking for, in my book, I'm not looking for people to go and give everybody $5 million. I'm saying, let's spend the money on rebuilding families. Let's spend the money on more after-school program. Let's spend money on early start program, rebuilding families. Let's set up community centers in communities where people have a problem. They can go down to the community and have mediators or facilitators or whatever, where they can talk, because that's what happens. Nobody has any place to go now if they have a problem. Wow. You know, where do they go? They can't go to the court system. The court system is not the best system, not the fair system in the world. It's the criminal injustice system. And you don't have the money when a lawyer tells you, say, well, I'll take your case, but I'll give you a $10,000 retainer. But if you have set up community centers where people with pride, people shoot people over the dog barking.
That's right.
Yeah.
They don't have any place to go. They over a fence. The neighbors having problems. They don't have any place to go.
Yes.
You know what it would be if you had trained mediators and facilitators in a community where people have a problem, they can go and say, this is our problem. Because what happened when people get angry, they say things, they don't know what they say, and they don't know how long that, and that some people believe I can say anything I want to you, it doesn't hurt you because I didn't put my hands on you.
Ooh. Oh man.
Words, this tongue
Yes.
that we have can spit out 3,000 words a minute. It's like a razor. It can slit somebody else's throat based on what we say. And we don't, I didn't do anything. I didn't put my hands on them.
Ooh, that is
We call that psychological violence.
Ooh.
You don't touch someone, but you hurt someone.
That's right.
Yes, Dr. Brown, can you talk a little bit about your success stories? What's something that has stood out that really was close to miraculous in your work?
Well, I tell you, I have mediated all kinds of disputes. I've been involved in disputes that's of high caliber in New York, the state of New York. I've been involved in major disputes there. Strikes that last in 13 weeks or more, where the president, the senators, and the governor, and everybody, have been involved in it, trying to get it done. But I think that we had a 13-week strike one time with United Parcel Service, and they're in the news again now talking about going on strike.
Yes.
But that's it. But that's just one of the things that stand out. But what I'm close to is what you talked about before. I'm closer to family disputes because I am truly a family man who believes in family. We're going to be in Williamsburg. My family reunion is going to be there in a couple of weeks from now, but it's just nothing like getting the family together. So I enjoy working and bringing families together. You know why? Because people.
Yeah.
Family is definitely important.
That's right.
Mardell Lewis asked about the family and working with the family. And when Dr. Brown comes back, we're going to ask him about how to get his book and how to get his services. Did you hear when he said, Mr. E, that he does some things even for free?
That's right. He said he loved what he's doing, and he'll go all out, not to get paid, but to do it for free because he would love. He said some powerful things because here it is. There are a lot of things that could be resolved if you had mediational centers to go to. If you had places where you could sit down. And first of all, I believe this, Ms. Hinton, that first of all, men and women has to come to the table that's going to be willingly ready to drop the sword. Really to drop the gun, where you can talk, where you can resolve problems.
Yes.
Sometimes folk that has problems, that holding grudges against folk, and have not really relinquished it, have not really let it go. And so they're carrying that old hurt around with them. Now it's falling on somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. Now we're looking at a big old conflict. Brother Bilal, who's going to be our special guest, I'm just waiting for him to give us a date. Brother Bilal Muhammad, the other day he lost his son.
Yes.
That's because Brother Bilal Muhammad lost his son, but he was out there in the community trying to deal with the community to turn violence around.
Wow.
Now, and by him being out there trying to turn violence around, what happened? It hit his home. It hit his community. It hit his neighborhood. And now since he's out there, but it has not stopped him from still speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Dr. Brown said, where can you go? They done closed the Boys and Girls Club down. Where can you go to resolve conflict? Who's teaching it now? Who's trying to be the mediator, to step between violence. Who's there now? He said something that was so positive, so key, that the barber shops need to, the men in the barber shops need to
Yes.
go out to the community and say, hey, look, let's break this up. But did you not know that I believe that there are so many men that are afraid to get into somebody else's business?
Wow. And that's what it is, because you asked that earlier, I can't, tell, or I can't get involved, and snitches get stitches,
That's
and,
right.
I turn my head, do what you got to do. And this is the thing, Mr. E, do you see how we spectate when it's fighting on social media? We spectate when we see violence in the street. We just want to look at it.
That's right.
We don't mind people being hurt and
That's right.
pulled out their head, and you got people egging it on and stuff like that. And instead of trying to pull women apart, people are just sit there and like, ooh, girl. I mean, wigs flying and weaves falling, and it's just amazing that it has to come to that.
And you're right, Miss
People
Hinton.
they are really interested in spectating in violence.
So how do we resolve that kind of conflict? Even though folks are sitting back enjoying, did you not know folks will fight you if you try to break that stuff up?
Ooh,
Did you not know there are people that's sitting out there in that arena who are enjoying seeing a good fight, enjoying, and they call it a good fight, a good fight.
Dr. Brown is back. Dr. Brown, go ahead and give us any more information that you would like to give us. And we also want to know where to get the books. And are you going to have any seminars, webinars, or workshops in the future?
I am working on right now and working on a webinar to talk about conflict resolution, but to focus on how to manage anger.
Yes.
That's going to be coming up real soon. I just have to get a date for it. But I had a really, really fantastic webinar on conflict resolution. And believe it or not, it's something about this. When I go on talking about conflict resolution, the devil gets in the way. I'm telling you.
Yes.
Because the night that I was doing my webinar, I had folks on the line from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, California, Pennsylvania, all these places all over the country. They were on, and my computer froze.
Wow.
But you know what? God still made a way, because then I couldn't use my PowerPoint presentation. I had to go shoot straight from the hip.
Yes.
And
All
guess what? The results of it was, people say, you know what? Said people the first time around could not have looked at those slides. They would not. But coming from your like it is, that was fantastic. So I'm in the process of putting that together now, because no matter what, I'm going to find a way to break through in this world in terms of talking about how do we resolve disputes. When I keep looking at young Black American aged 15 to 34, they experience the highest rate of gun homicide across the demographics.
Yes.
Black Americans are 10 times more likely than white Americans to die by gun homicide. In 2018, young African-American male accounted for 35% of youth arrests in the United States.
Yes.
Even though they only represent a small percentage, 12% of all of us. All right. Then the number that's really startling that I want to give, in 2017, the FBI recorded a total of 625,000 arrests of individuals below 18 years of age, which included 218,048, 34% African Americans. I mean, wow. these numbers are not, they're no fake numbers. 16% of youth incarcerated nationwide are African American. We only 13% of the population. You know, and this number here that I'm going to give you here before, African American children are 5 times more likely than white youth to be incarcerated.
I wanted to ask you, are we more angrier than anybody else, or has life been unfair to us? What is it about our culture, our race that is really, really deteriorating, and our culture just changing to have those numbers? What's
Well,
going on?
well, what happened is this, and I wanted to make sure that I say this in the right way. But we're not angrier than we used to be. It's pure cold-hearted economics, and
Ooh,
then people are unable. I mean, this Supreme Court, these things they just put on us in the last few days, but they don't know. Can you imagine if all of our football and basketball players, stop uh, going to these other schools, go
yes,
to HBCUs, because the colleges are making so much money on television. All right. So
yes,
suppose we transfer that say, okay, you guys don't want me to come to Harvard University. You know what I mean? See, because it's a lie. The black folks who went to Harvard University, or people could have gotten in any college in the United States, it wasn't in the affirmative action program.
mhm,
Do you think Barack Obama needed to go to school because of affirmative action? Even Clarence Thomas was smart enough to go to school. That wasn't affirmative action that we're talking about. All right.
yes,
We have young black folks now who are doing it. They're slamming. They are
yes,
valedictorian, salutatorian. They're doing stuff. They do. It's a few people that's not making it. But I'm saying to you, the people that went to those schools, believe it or not, they could have went to any school they wanted to in the nation.
wow.
It wasn't the program that got them there. So I'm saying that we are not angry enough. Okay.
Okay.
We are not angry enough to say, okay, I'm sick and tired and ain't going to take it no more. But what am I going to do to try to curb it? I can't do it alone. But
Yes.
what am I going to do? I wish I could get, as I said again, 25 black men who were sincere and said, what am I going to do about the problem? I will come anywhere that you could get those people together, and we'll show you how it can be done.
Yes.
We'll teach you how it could be done. All right? And you don't have to put your life at risk in terms of doing it. Yeah.
Brother Brown, there's a Dr. Brown, excuse me. In another state, there is a group of 100, 200, 300 African American men that has formed their own army. I don't know if you're aware of that. They have formed their own army with machine guns and anything AK-47s with. Do you think that violence is the point?
Listen, there is not enough, okay, people and guns. See, when you are going against the government, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know about the Tulsa, Oklahoma story,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They bombed that place. It wasn't the community bombing the place. It was the government bombing the place there.
Yes. Yes.
And so we can't compete that way. You know what I mean? They got tanks, they got airplanes, they got everything. And see, the problem is that these groups that's forming, they don't understand that the government is infiltrating every one of those groups, and every single thing they do, the government know it before they get it out of the room.
That's right.
Whoa.
This is one of the things that our government have said. We're not going to let anybody destroy this country. We will infiltrate every group, black, white, green, yellow, whatever. Do you see all these folks coming forward in this January 16th? They had people inside and able to point to everybody and tell them what to do.
Yes.
So that's not that might be a thought. It might be good for one community, but they got all the goods.
That's right.
And they outnumber us.
Yes.
When you said something about January 6th, I thought when I saw what I saw, I thought the government didn't act fast enough, because they shouldn't have never got into the Capitol. They should have never been able to do what they did. It should have been a more protectiveness around there.
The people who were supposed to be working for the government was working with these people.
Yes.
They scouted these places out 2 and 3 days in advance in terms of what they were going to do. It was people inside who was part of this whole thing. It wasn't just these guys just dreamt this thing up and said, this is what we're going to do. They all was inside, and nobody stopped those guys. Did you see the guys
Yes.
Did you see the guys climbing the wall? Can you imagine if there had been African Americans climbing that wall? They would have machine gunned every one of them down.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. If it had been African American who did that, they would have tore us all up. I want to say good afternoon to Mr. Chris Hinton, Mr. Mark Howard, Michelle Robbins,
Yes.
Mr. L. Lewis, and we want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the After Dark with FYI with your host, Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host, and our special guest is none other than Dr. Hezekiah Brown.
Mardell Lewis says, thank you for the information, Dr. Brown. She said, I've learned a lot.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm sorry about the interruption tonight, but they just keep blinking out when they go black. I got to start all over again.
I tell you what, you're giving us some good information.
Right.
We want to thank you. Tell us where people can get your books, where they can reach out to you, Dr. Brown.
I can give you my number and my email address because it comes through me. My telephone number is 516-815-8679. 516-815-8679, or you can email me at hez38@aol.com. hez38@aol.com.
Well, Dr. Brown, your closing remarks?
Well, my closing remarks is simply this. When I look back at the Supreme Court, it goes on to say that passing legislation is not it. If passing legislation was going to help us, we got this 1965 Voting Rights Act. We got the 1965 vote. They have passed all kind of bills. We have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution. All they have to do is enforce those things, and we would not have a problem. Just enforce the things that's on the book now.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to talking with you again. We always learn so much. We are, excited to hear. Every time I hear about conflict resolution, it makes me feel hope. It makes me feel like, yeah, there's someone out here that is observing us, but also has the key of some of the things and tools that we need to be better. And so I always love talking with you. I always love you on the show. We're going to have you back. And I'm also enjoying reading your books. I have both of them, everybody. I have both books. I want to encourage you all to get both books. And I also want to encourage you all, Dr. Brown, to get that information to us when you have your workshops and webinars so we can get them out. Get that information out to our audience.
As soon as I set the date, you'll be the first to know.
Okay. And we want to thank you so much for being on this evening. You did wonderful, and we look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
God bless.
With all of the technical problems that we
That's okay.
Well, they say it's an act of God.
That's right. But we got through it.
That's right.
Thank you. Love to the First Lady and to the family. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
So, Mr. E, it is really, really wonderful to have great information. And,
that's right.
Just being able to know that there's a better way, a better way, love, to care and to be concerned about one another, wherein we want to do better. We want things resolved. We want to we want to see our children in a better place. We don't want to see the violence.
That's right.
And too many people are sitting back wanting to see the violence, wanting to see the conflict. You see it all over social media, and people are like, yes, woo, look at that, look at this. And it seems like people are getting angrier and angrier and angrier. But Dr. Brown was talking about having tools to be able to resolve conflict, and that's the missing piece. People don't have the tools, and so we're so glad that he has the book, and he's doing the webinars, and he's getting his information out, and we are so glad to help him to do that because we need to have, we want to have peace in our lives. We want our children to live in a peaceful world. And we know we're going to have conflict. We know we're going to get angry about things, but the way we do it we need tools to do it right. The Bible says you can be angry,
But sin.
but come on, don't go that far. Don't go too far.
That's right. But
Unless
sin.
if you have conflict, there is nothing wrong with you disagreeing, but it would be better if you had tools to know how to resolve those issues.
Miss Hinton, he said something that was so great also. He said, in our communities, there is no place where we can sit around at the round table and talk things out.
Yeah.
Our community today, we have great leaders in our community. We have great people in our community, but our community has gotten to the point where we are afraid to even dialogue with each other.
Yes.
One of the gentlemen said yesterday, he said, I've been in this community for almost 50 years and don't even know who my neighbors are.
Wow.
But my neighbors know who I am. But the thing that we got to look at, if we don't know who we're living around, we don't know our neighbors, how in the world can we reach out and help each other as we travel along the way?
Absolutely.
We got to be able to sit down and understand. He said something that was so grand, that we leave our attitudes at the door. Don't come in a meeting, come in there with a question mark. Come in there willing to learn, willing to understand, not come in there being angry, being mad, being, whatever that's going on with you. Leave that outside, because you're going to be so sensitive. You're going to have thin skin. And the first thing somebody said in the wrong fashion, you're going to misinterpret it. And you're going to blow up, and then you're going to have a problem.
Yes.
You said something that was so key, Miss Hinton, is that in our community, folks are sitting around just rah, looking for violence, looking for a fight, and it's a great entertainment for them. But we got to cut it out. We got to stop it. We got to get it resolved, because guess what? Our children are dying. Our babies are dying. They can't even go to school without going to school with a metal detector.
Absolutely.
And the teachers cannot teach. And the reason why they cannot teach, because now they're packing. They got to carry a gun. They got to be able to carry a gun, watch the children instead of teach the lesson. But they want the children to move to the next level. They don't want to leave no child behind. But how in the world can a teacher teach when she's got to be on her best behavior, on her guard, and really watch out for herself also with the students that's in our class?
Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, we want to thank our very special guest, Dr. Hezekiah Brown. You all can get his books. Go online, go on social media, and get his information and find out how you can be better and do better and resolve your issues in a better way. And so we thank him. Thank you all, Amardell. There's so many that are on. Chris Hinton. Thank you all for taking the time for FYI After Dark. Don't forget our sponsors, Crystal Records. Go online, www.crystalrecords.com. Don't forget the book, Bullying is Right Underneath Your Nose by Yolanda Hinton. You can go online, actually, or wherever books are sold, and find out about bullying, what it is, and why people bully, and what we can do about it. Also, the new game, the anti-bullying game, Bullvic, is out. You can go to apple.com, or you can go to Google Play, the store there, get it, and it will soon be online at bullvicacademy.com. Beard Guards is in the house. Chris Hinton, he's on. Good evening, Chris Hinton, beardguards.com. Don't forget to check that out. And don't forget to come back on Wednesday. We're going to be back on FYI Radio Morning Show, and we look forward to a great show of issues concerning men, what's under the hat. So we're going to say good evening to you all. Mr. E is going to give you contact information, and we're going to say good night.
If you'd like to be a special guest or sponsor of FYI After Dark or FYI in the AM, all you have to do is give us a call at 757-714-7861. or go to our FYI inboxes at Edward Everett's Facebook page, Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton Facebook page, or FYI Facebook page, or email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on WPCE 1400, WGPL 1350, Peace 95.3 FM, and WMVA 88.9 FM. And don't forget to listen to us on the World Wide Web. Listen, go down to Crystal, tell them, Crystal Records 1 on YouTube, and guess what? And subscribe. Like and subscribe. We need your help there. Don't forget to join us. FYI, our special guest we got great guests coming your way on FYI After Dark. We did the ladies and the gentlemen thing. We had the gentlemen on first, and then we had the ladies, but we gonna combine them both together. And don't forget, Mr. Dean will be with us, and a host of more on FYI After Dark. You don't want to miss it.
Absolutely. You all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And don't forget, Dr. Brown, he put out a nugget that I thought is absolutely wonderful. Listen, learn to listen.
Yeah.
Good evening. You all have a wonderful night. Have a happy 4th of July on tomorrow.
Yeah.
God
and don't
bless
forget
you.
the safety tips. Don't forget, fireworks in some cities, some states are legal and some are not illegal.